Media Melanie Talks TV. I'm Melanie, and today I'm back to talk about Grotesquerie, Season 1, Episode 10, the season finale. I'm going to start off by saying, what did I just watch? The show is called Grotesquerie, and yet they could not give the audience the satisfaction of actually telling us who Grotesquerie was. I mean, I get it. Shows end on cliffhangers all the time, but we didn't get a sense of closure with really anything. I'm still not convinced that Lois is actually awake despite all of the clues that she is. This toxic masculinity situation, who could potentially be behind all of these killings, I had a really hard time even watching that. I preferred Travis Kelce with his mullet being kind of this loser dude, not someone who's jazzing people up to go join some man cult. I mean, come on. Travis was fine, but where did the storyline even come from? Why are we not getting to find out who this killer is? Lois ends the season by visiting this crime scene where now we see Father Charlie strung up in this Last Supper situation, and she says, "Oh, I know who it is," and walks out, and that's how it ends. Just like that. No closure. Not one sense of anything. And first of all, I was not even sure I wanted to watch Grotesquerie. Ryan Murphy's shows have not been my cup of tea as of late. American Horror Story was great in the early seasons. I've said this before, but some of the later seasons, including New York, Delicate, which I couldn't even finish watching, and then this last round of American Horror Stories, like, what was that whole Leprechaun episode? Why did he even have to do that? Not to mention some of the other shows. I've not watched the Aaron Hernandez story. I've not watched Pose or some of these other shows that Ryan Murphy's done. And I mean, he's done a lot of them, right? I couldn't even finish Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. And I love true crime, but I just can't watch it. The Menendez brothers one, I watched the first episode. I don't know. I don't know what it is, if it's Ryan Murphy or maybe I'm just getting burnt out on true crime and horror. I don't think so, because there are other good shows out there that I enjoy, that I look forward to. Grotesquerie is not one of them. One of two things could have happened with this finale. Ryan Murphy already knows he's definitely getting a second season and felt comfortable ending it like this, thinking, okay, I'll pick up where we left off. This story has a lot more to tell. These characters are still developing. We still have a lot of loose ends to tie up. But I also think this could have worked as an anthology season, as a standalone, if he was able to get a little bit more traction and close this out in any sort of logical way to give us a sense of why we all spent our time watching this show. Or Ryan Murphy's just taking the chance, hoping that he's going to get a second season and will then reveal who Grotesquerie is. I don't know. Either option really does not seem that great to me, because I do feel like it somewhat disrespects the audience and their time. I can't help but feel that way after investing so many hours of my time into this first season. So hopefully there is a bigger plan at play and Ryan Murphy knows what he's doing. He's done a lot of television, so maybe he knows what he's doing, or he's just rolling the dice and taking a risk because, you know what? He's got a lot of other coals in that TV fire. Overall, the season started out strong. I thought episodes 1 and 2 were good. We were getting a lot of the true crime stuff. It was a mystery. And then things really went off the rails. Things picked back up in episode 7 when we learned Lois was in a coma. But then 8 and 9 didn't really reveal a lot. And I started thinking, is episode 10 gonna be able to even finish this story? I started watching it and it was just so slow moving. I'm like, when are we getting answers here? And then the whole man group came along and I'm just like, what are we doing? I lost pretty much all hope at that point. And seeing all of these men in her life involved with this, her 2 doctors, now Marshall, now Eddie, what is going on? I am just at a complete loss. I didn't even take notes, and I'm really just raw dogging it here because I can't wrap my head around any of this, and I just have a lot of unresolved feelings about this show. And aside from not even finding out who the killer is, which, I mean, it could be anyone at this point. It was brought up in this episode. It could be Lois herself, although I don't think so. It could be this cult. I mean, it could be Marshall, given that the woman who Me Too'd him is now a victim of grotesquerie and was found in this Last Supper scene, which again also included Charlie, Dr. Charlie, Father Charlie, who allegedly was also having orgies in Lois's room when she was in a coma. What? Impregnated an unconscious patient? What? But along with Charlie, along with Marshall's woman who exposed Marshall, we also have all of the unhoused men. And we have this whole murder scene, again, coming to life, which was initially in Lois's dream. And as Lois mentioned, it's got to be someone with access to her records, but now we learned that there's been all these waivers signed, that this is a big program, and apparently a lot of people have access to it. And then the therapist says to her something like, oh, well, maybe you're the one who's behind it. And it's kind of like, what? And there's still not a lot of reality going on, even with the Megan stuff. We think that Lois killed Justin, and maybe it was just a dream, maybe it wasn't, and then Megan comes along and says, no, totally, that did not happen, I did not do that, and then we learn that she in fact did. Things are still not adding up with this show. It is mind-bending, but not in a great way if they're not going to respect us enough to give us some sort of closure. Like anything, we could have at least found out one thing, whether that was who the killer was or whether or not this is still a coma dream situation. And whether or not it's Lois in the coma, whether or not at this point it's Marshall in the coma, because we see a lot of strange things from his perspective, including the throuple invite to Lois from him in red. What? I just was shaking my head throughout this entire episode. And something I brought up in my last video was, is Lois dead? I mean, I know the therapist said she is not. However, maybe this is still a heaven and hell situation and she's still working through something with her soul. I mentioned Dante's 9 Circles of Hell. I'm still not convinced that she's not in a hellscape here because a lot of this seems like a complete fucking nightmare. Or is she still in a coma and there's multiple coma phases? Or again, is it Marshall? I have so many questions about this. But one thing that did stand out to me was Merritt. Throughout all of this, we did see Merritt portrayed in this slovenly way with Lois in her coma and the way that Marshall felt about her obesity. However, if this is the real world and this is the real Merritt, she seems to be the good force in all of this. Maybe she's the guardian angel, the good one here, the one who is the voice of reason, who's, trying to work with what she has for this family dynamic. But then again, we have the whole slap scene and all that, which I also get because, hey, if my mom was sleeping with my husband, boyfriend, whatever, I'd be pretty upset too. But in terms of who the actual killer is, I've got to think this man cult has something to do with it. I mean, it could be Marshall, but that also seems way too obvious going into a second season. And again, either Ryan Murphy knows they're getting a second season and he can finish telling this story, or he just felt comfortable giving us this entire load of crap for absolutely nothing and wasting our time. That said, I'm done with Ryan Murphy shows. I've said this before about shows. I did say once that if I saw one more person on Survivor get voted out with an immunity idol in their pocket, that I would quit the show. And I did try to quit and I did try to boycott it, but guess what? I came back. So I suppose it is always possible. I think the only thing that would make me watch another Ryan Murphy show is if we get some of the original cast of American Horror Story back. If we do get Sarah Paulson, Evan Peters, who Ryan Murphy has allegedly been talking to for returning, okay, maybe I'd give it another go. Jessica Lange, same thing. There have been some really strong cast members who made those earlier seasons quite the success, but as some of the bigger names dropped out and Ryan Murphy's done more of the stunt casting with people like Kim Kardashian and now Travis Kelce, I feel like he used Travis's Kelce name to market this show. The dude was barely in the show and we didn't get any closure. And I wonder how Travis Kelce feels about this. Going into the finale, watching this, I think I saw a tweet out there that said something like he could have done better. And you know what? His acting wasn't really the bad part. It was more the writing by Ryan Murphy and not giving his character more of a story to tell. And that said, will he be back if there is a season 2? He's a busy guy. Could he be the killer? Could he be Grotesquerie? I don't know that he's got it in him, but perhaps backed by the power of this man cult? Maybe, perhaps. I have so many questions about this that I don't even feel cohesive in making this video because the finale itself did not feel cohesive to me. And I'm kind of dying to know what everybody else is thinking about this. Are you happy about it? Do you feel like you've wasted your time watching this entire season of Grotesquerie for nothing? Or are you a Ryan Murphy fan and you think, you know what? He'll take care of us eventually. Maybe we'll get a second season and we'll figure it out. But to not get a second season and have it end like this? Niecy Nash has been saying in interviews, we'll either get the second season or I guess I'll have to have a long dinner with Ryan Murphy where he tells me how this was all expected to play out. Imagine being the lead actress in a show where you don't even know what happens and there may not be a second season. I don't know. I would personally not want to align with Ryan Murphy after that. But again, he's a big name. He's got a ton of shows. He is an absolute powerhouse in Hollywood. And, he may be somewhat problematic for various issues that he's had on set with the treatment of cast, etc. I do personally try to separate the art from the artist because art is art, right? And we may not always like the people who create it. I can think of a bunch of instances about this. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole right now, but I think if I am going to stop watching Ryan Murphy, it's not because of Ryan Murphy as a person. It's because I have given up on his ability to write, to close a show out, to tell a cohesive story. And yeah, you can get some big names, some big characters, and tease us all you want with whatever you want. And okay, maybe you had one good episode, episode 7. That was great. I thought it turned the bus around. Guess what? The bus has now crashed. The bus has no possible destination unless we get a second season. As you can tell, I'm a little fired up about this. This was one of the first shows that I've covered here at my channel in full, along with Teacup, which also wrapped up today on Halloween. And while Teacup also ended on somewhat of a cliffhanger, at least we got some sense of closure in some way, even if there was some convolution in there. Grotesquerie did not give us any of that. And I would like to know who everybody thinks the killer is. Do you think we're going to get a second season? I keep asking questions because that is all that is circling my brain right now with this show. I even thought about rewatching the finale thinking, oh, maybe I missed some kind of clue. And for Ryan Murphy to have teased this saying there's going to be even more twists, even more turns between episode 7 and the finale, where were they, Ryan? A toxic masculinity man cult is just not enough of a twist or a reveal, really a reveal at all, to make me satiated with season 1 of Grotesquerie. So I'm going to say right now, if the show does come back for a second season, I am 100% not going to cover it. What I might do is spoil it for myself and do a little short video and say, okay, we finally found out who the killer was, but guess what? With them not announcing it yet and the finale just happening, I do think today would have been the day where they said, okay, guys, we're getting a second season, unless they're just trying to mess with us and make us wait and see. I don't know. I think Ryan Murphy's got to have more respect for his viewers. But you know what? There's still a lot of people who love Ryan Murphy content. I get that. Some of it is done well. But for me, sorry, guys. I'm out. Can't do it anymore. Again, unless Evan Peters and Sarah Paulson do pop up in a season of American Horror Story, maybe I will change my mind. But for now, sorry, Ryan Murphy, I'm done. I know you don't care. I know you're not watching this video. But for anybody else who is, does anyone else feel like that? Or am I alone here? Please make sure you are subscribed. I would love it if you would like and share and drop some comments on this video to really get the discussion going about how we're all feeling about this. Are there people out there who are like, hey, this was cool, it's fine, I don't really need answers, I'll just stick around and wait for season 2? I'd love to know who those people are, because you might be some of the most patient, saintly people that exist, and I wish I was maybe more like you, but I'm not. So here I am saying, I'm giving Grotesquerie for this season a C-. You know what? Maybe even a D+. It's not a total fail because there were some bright spots. Visually, the show was great. There was some good acting, cinematography, very nice. Some of the horror elements, cool, okay. But I don't think that that makes it strong enough to inspire me to watch a second season. So again, make sure you're subscribed. Please chime in. Let me know what you think because I am literally dying to know. Thank you all so much for everybody who has been on this Grotesquerie season 1 ride with me. And wow, it has been a ride. That is a fact. I appreciate you all for watching. Thank you so much. I will see you again soon. There are lots of great shows coming between now and the end of 2024. We've got Silo, we've got Bad Sisters, we've got Severance, we've got Squid Game based on a true story. So many good shows coming, and I will be sharing content on all of them in some way, shape, or form. So make sure you're subscribed to MediaMelanieTV.com. Thanks again. See you soon. Media Melanie, clicking off.